What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Apex the Podcast. The boys are here, ready to go, and this episode is an absolute banger because we have iiTzTimmy on later on in the show. Got into some topics that were a little surprising, didn't expect it, but it was an awesome conversation nonetheless, and a huge get. It was such a cool interview, great time. Got to talk to him a little bit afterwards as well. Hopefully we have him back on pretty soon. After we see, how he goes through this next ALGS run, see what he has in him. But Timmy was awesome. I can't wait for you guys to listen to that interview. Before we get into all of that, let's check in with the boys here. E, how you feeling, my man?
Feeling good. It's been a nice week. Nothing to complain about. Just getting to work, and it's been nice. So I have a new ranked grinder buddy that I've been ranking with, and he happens to be 10 years old. His name is Lil Fredson, and no, dude, I'm telling you, this kid is nasty. So like he had recently
Fredson?
like won like a LAN, yeah, like a Midwestern LAN type deal where it was like some like, yeah, so he won that, and so like proving that he's not cheating. And then I was playing ranked. Somebody in my squad was hopping off. We ran into him. I think his dad pulled through my chat. And then I was like, yo, is Freddie? I was like, you trying to, because at the time I thought it was him. I was like, you trying to play? And then he was like, okay, I'm down. And then we ran it. And I was like, all right, bet, that was pretty fun. Let's run it back tomorrow. And then I asked him, I was like, yeah, so do you typically solo queue, or like, do you have people that you play with? And he's like, yeah, I don't really have squads ever. So I just solo queue. And so I basically extended him an open invite for as whenever I'm playing, if he wants to run it, we can squad, because apparently he's hit pred, but he's never kept it before because he's never had a team, and so he's always ended up losing it. And so I'm gonna be running it with the little homie, and it's gonna be fun, dude. I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm not gonna say that he's better than me, but he might be better than me. Like, this kid is insane. Like, no lie. Like, absolute honest truth, if you could compete as a 10-year-old, I'm not saying that he would be signed to E8, but we would definitely be giving him a trial.
Yeah. He's disgusting. No, I know. It sounds like we're gassing this 10-year-old kid, but realistically, no, he's actually disgusting.
He's that guy. He's just really.
Okay, it's kind of crazy, dude. I was thinking about it in this context. When I was 10 years old, I was not doing what he's doing at the speed in which he's doing it. That's the crazy thing is, yeah, his aim's cracked, but his decision making as a 10-year-old in his game sense in Apex is absurd.
He be hitting fatigue bounce jump shots out like he's just.
What is it? What kind of player is he?
Controller. He's a controller, 4-3 linear, and he's nuts. He's so talented.
I saw him 1v3 a pred squad like with ease, and it looked, dude, this kid's R9. He was running R99 PK, and he was just like zip, like doing all the tech on zip.
I was playing
dude.
with him. That was in one of the games that we were running, and yeah, dude, he's different on the Bloodhound ult. Like, he actually just solid team, just 1v3s. Just he's nasty.
Bloodhound? Who's he playing?
No, I mean, he plays Wraith, Bangalore, Hound, pretty much whoever.
He's 10 years old. Also, he's from Arkansas. Shout out, baby. Come on now, son.
10 years old?
Let's just say me, Watson, and Fredson, if we made an ALGS squad, watch out.
Some are saying Arkansas is the best state.
Yeah, They
could be. No, but he's nuts, super talented, and it's been fun playing with him, because like I'm a way better version of myself. Because I'm like super cognizant and aware of the fact that like I have to be on my best behavior. I'm playing with a 10-year-old, and I can't be setting a bad example. Or I think I've said shit in front of him, and that's like the only like quote unquote bad word that I've ripped, which is pretty good. But yeah, it's been fun. He's nasty, and dude, I'm excited for when it's an actual like good rank split where the lobbies are good, and it'll actually like, will he be able to like, dude, people's egos are gonna get hurt because like this kid was an arena grinder, so he's mechanically just absurd. And if I'm playing ranked with him every day and we're just picking up thirds, just other shooters, like this kid's gonna finish like top 50 pred something. And once he gets invited to like the next 1v1 goat tourney, if Dolphin does that, I'm going to do my best to make sure he gets invited. Like egos are going to get just demolished by this. And I know that it sounds like we're just gassing him up crazy, but like he's just like, he is that good.
He's the real deal for not even a 10-year-old. He's a real deal for like one of the best roller players now in this current moment.
If he like, it is 100% truth that if he was 16, I would be giving him a trial for my pro team.
The craziest part is he can only get better. Like, he can only get better.
Yeah, he's only going to get, it's just.
I also thought about this. He probably started playing the game's been out for 4 years. He started playing like 6 years old or 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy that he is at the level that he's at.
He's so good. I don't know.
That's nuts, dude.
Well, shout out Will Fretzen.
Yeah, and so we'll have him on the show at some point.
I want to so bad. I think he would be.
No, it'll be our first dual interview because we'll have him and his dad.
That'll be great. Yeah, that'll be good.
And dude, and so like, and it's been fun because yesterday it was me, Freddie, our third, was the guy we were playing with got off, and so Dalton was looking for a squad, and I was like, "Yo, he's trying to play with me and Lil Fretzen. He's 10 years old, and he's cracked," and he was like, "Sure, this will be weird, but yeah, I'm down." And then I messaged Father Fretzen. I was like, "Yo, are you cool with
okay with Touche influencing your child?
Are you cool with like with Freddie playing with Dalton?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, that's great. Just tell him to behave like it's a Hello Fresh stream."
There we go.
Nice.
There we go.
And so I told Dalton, I was like, "Listen, Father Fredson said he just asked that you treat it like it's a Hello Fresh stream, and we're chilling." And then it was good. It was fun.
That's awesome.
Sure, y'all gained too.
No, and it was funny because like Freddie, he started to talk mess, and there was times where Dalton was just like, "I'm gonna say something, but you're 10 years old, so I'm not."
I mean, that's big time though. I'm glad that he's kind of getting. I'm glad that he's getting that exposure.
Oh, I'm gonna be putting him on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude.
I DM'd Timmy after, and I was like, "Yo, forgot to ask you after we got done, but you trying to run with me and Freddie?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm down. I don't mind." And I was like, "Bet." And
that's gonna be insane for him. But the come up, bro, like that's pretty nuts. He went to the KC tournament and then kind of showed out there, and then boom, like now playing with playing potentially with, or he played with Touche and potentially like, dude, the come up for that kid is crazy.
Yeah, so, I got him playing with Cody. I got him like,
Cody was up next.
It's fun.
Yeah, dude, it's insane. Anyway, so yeah, that's exciting. We need to have him on for sure. I think I would definitely be down. Anyway, is that your week? Is that everything?
Yeah, just that, grinding, spending time with the wife, and I'm just continually focused on enjoying it as much as I can, and it's been good. It's been good. What about you guys? How are y'all doing?
Why don't you go first? No, you always go last, and you're going second. You're going second this time. I'm going third. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to second.
Why are you doing this to me, bro? My mental clock is used to me going dead last. You're really gonna make me go second? Okay, all right, fine. I'll go second, and
we'll make Wyatt go first
next time.
No, really just throw him off. So Wyatt, how was your week this week?
My week was good. It was really solid. I think I've got some things in the works coming up here in the future, and I'm very excited for that. And I have some announcements that I think I can finally start to say that I've told you guys a while back, but I've kind of kept on the low key. I'm finally starting to be able to put it out there, so that should be coming in the next coming weeks. But that's really what's been driving my my weeks. I had a really solid job interview, and so I'm hoping that goes my way. I think I got the second one tomorrow, so I'll be doing that. And just feeling good with the pods, man. Just feeling good, and just putting in that work, editing, doing all that. And it's crazy how far we've come, man. It really is. Like these milestone episodes are they're like a real true testament to how much work we've put in. So feeling really good, feeling really happy. Just been relaxing, kicking back, watching The Sopranos. Almost done, final season. I think I'm on like the last 5 episodes, and I don't want to finish it. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Not too much going on outside of that. Finn, how are you? How's your week?
Dude, so average. It was awesome. I mean, I had a great week. I will be honest. I have been So I'm pretty sure last episode or the episode before, I was like, man, I've already done like pretty much beat Diablo. I'm like not really wanting to play the game anymore. Well, I made a new character and I'm enjoying it much more. And so I've been putting in some time and grinding that, and I've been enjoying it. I once again having a great work week, and I don't know, man. My life, I cannot complain. I feel very blessed right now, and I'm very content in this moment. So I think, yeah, that's where I'm at. Which I've had a great week, so nothing to complain about. Haven't played with Little Fredson yet, so I guess my week could have potentially gotten better. But besides that,
I can put you on the schedule.
yeah, put me on the schedule, I guess.
Pencil him in.
Yeah.
I also, I guess I'm stoked that we got Timmy on. Like, I think it's really cool that we were able to get him on, just because he's been around the scene for a long, long time. So being able
not
to
only
have
was it
him
cool
on.
that we could get him on, but I thought the interview was fire. It definitely goes in some directions that I wouldn't have thought that we would go, but I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I thought truthfully like one of our best that we've done so far.
You just don't expect
to see him being able to like open up and just be so vulnerable and sharing that.
Yeah, you just don't really expect to see somebody open up like that. Like you just don't really expect him to want to talk about something like that. And so we won't say what it is. You guys just have to figure it out. But it was awesome. It was so cool. But yeah, can't wait for you guys to get to that. Before though, we've got some competitive Apex Reddit questions that we're going to go through here. Once again, we're kind of in a lull. We're waiting for this next thing to take place, and it hasn't started just yet. We're waiting for this LAN. It's coming up, but we still got some time before it. So to close that gap and to kind of answer questions around the community, if you want to send one in, you can go to r/competitive Apex Reddit. Boys and girls, we got a nice little batch of questions here, and I think the first one would be really, really good. This one comes from it's me _ not Mario. They just tricked us on that. It says, hello, my question is for Enoch. What about coaching surprised you the most? Was there any challenges or any things you didn't expect when transitioning into coaching role that you had to deal with? What do you think, E?
Yeah, so I would say that my biggest challenge that I wasn't expecting was being in the position of trialing for as long as I was, because originally we were doing a 1 month trial, which I was thinking was like, okay, this would be great. Like, give me a month to like really like see how things go, see if it's the right fit. But with the trial being as long as it was, it led to me really not being in a position of being able to do what I needed to do as a coach at times. Because like there was a couple decisions that were made that I wasn't a huge fan of, but I couldn't be like super adamant against it because my spot wasn't guaranteed. If I was like, oh no, we shouldn't do this, like we're not doing this, and they would just be like, okay, well you're not our coach, like the trial's not working out, and then moving on, right? And so that was definitely something, because I'd like to think that I wouldn't like the Loba Ash Rampart comp. I think that situation might have been avoidable if I was in more of a position. But that's also like hindsight, and maybe even with then, I still might not have done as well as I could have in that area. But that was definitely something, and yeah, I'll go ahead and say that was the biggest thing. And it was definitely a learning experience, and I'm excited to no longer be in that situation. But I definitely learned a lot of lessons from it, that I'll definitely take and I'll apply as I move forward.
Other than that, how's the team feeling right now?
It was a rough day, rough go scrims. Like today, we got 0 points. Like actually just 0. Like contested all 3 games, and just bad contests. Like 0 for 6, and we were just, it was Chaotic's first day back after a 5-day vacation, and so obviously we weren't going to be in the swing of things. And so we got our first day. We got a lot of bad games out of the way. And so we should be set up for the rest of the week going into scrims. But I'm confident. Team's still, like, I definitely think we have a strong chance of winning LCQ. We still don't know who our third is, but out of all of the potentials that we have it pretty much figured out at this point. But I won't be announcing until we actually announce it. And it's good, man. I'm excited. I'm optimistic, and I definitely think that we have what it takes to be one of the best in the world, and we will hopefully be able to prove that fairly soon.
Awesome, man.
Clearly not today, though. We did not look like anywhere close to one of the best in the world today. But everybody has those bad days, and we're slingshotting.
Just bury the tape, bury the football, move on. Tomorrow's a new day. Tomorrow is a new day. Shout out for the question. We're going to move on into the next one here. This one comes from Lady Mace VG. And they say, I would love to hear yours and Wyatt's thoughts on the disconnect between the casual fan base and their expectations with the game in comparison to the pros and more sweaty players' view on the game. Sweaty being people like me who are always trying to consume Apex news. I think there could be a lot to unpack there, and you two are great on sharing your opinions and providing nuances that I think both sides don't consider. What do we think, boys? The disconnect between the casual community and the sweats and or pros and or content creators.
Yeah, I think there's always going to be probably a disconnect in just the way people view the game in general, right? You have the people that play the game very casually, maybe you're a 9 to 5, or even, it doesn't even matter. You're just like somebody who gets on and plays the game for an hour, maybe. So your view on the game is going to be significantly, probably just by default, different than somebody who is playing the game 8 hours a day as their full-time job in the way that they view it. Excuse me. So I guess at the base level, there's always going to be a differentiation in viewpoints whenever it comes to the casual versus competitive. But if we're talking what specifically is the disconnect or the difference, I would say, I don't know. What do you, I guess maybe it would be best if you started off first, Wyatt, from a casual point of view, what you are wanting out of the video game, out of Apex specific, and I guess what would be the disconnect between the two sides?
I think so. There's been so much talked about with the ranked playlist and how many times have we changed it? Like 6-7 times. Like it's been a lot. There's so much brought about with the ranked playlist and all this different stuff, and it kind of like gets into this conversation where it seems like it's never going to end. Us here on this podcast have obviously all said that season 13 split 1, that Storm Point split, where it was very hard to come by. The late games were wild. RP was hard to come by. It was one of those seasons where you felt like every single second mattered, and a lot of the casuals didn't like it because they felt like it was too difficult to try and get points and all that kind of stuff. I think that changes, and I think that goes away, and I think ranked doesn't get touched if at that time there was also the mixtape playlist, which we did not have. I think for me as a casual player, while I do like to play ranked and do like to, get my squad together and have a good time, I also love just mindlessly sitting there and playing. If I get home from work after a long ass day, the last thing that I am going to want to do is sit there and try to, rat in a circle and kind of just wait it out and try to get points. And because I have to rat in a circle, I don't have the aim or the ability to be able to just fucking kill whoever I want, right? So it's like I want to have something where I can sit back in my chair and just sit there and relax and mindlessly play. I think that's why Call of Duty is still so popular to this day. It's like so many people who come home from work after just busting their ass just want to lean back in a chair, maybe have like a beer, and just shoot at stuff. And they don't really care about how many times they die. They don't really care about that. At that time, there was no there was no mixtape playlist. So there was no way for those casuals to get it out. It was BR or more competitive BR. That was it. Or I guess, was Arena still there? But Arenas wasn't getting any support. Nobody was, they weren't making any adjustments to it. And it was, sweatier than ever.
Less casual. It was much less casual than what mixtape is, right? So
yeah, exactly. So I think that would go a long way. And I think with mixtape right now, if they were to add in a couple more modes, and put them under the guise of like TDM or gun run, like if you did an armed and dangerous team deathmatch, I think that would be really, really fun. Add that to the rotation where I think it's just shotguns and snipers. I've always advertised for the bringing back of third person mode. Third person mode was literally here for 2 days, but it was such a fun game mode. And I think if you did like a third person mode gun run or team deathmatch, it would be super, super fun. Throwing more stuff like that into the game and having more things where you're constantly having like a game mode that doesn't really matter. I think the other part too is like it doesn't really matter at the end of the day because the stats don't record in mixtape. So it's like who fucking cares if you suck? It's just for you to relax, chill out, do whatever. I think that's the biggest disconnect for me is the fact that for so long it was just BR or more competitive BR. Get you some game modes where you can relax, have fun, chill out. If you're just covered in sweat after working outside all day, you just want to sit back, just relax, and just shoot at something. And not always do you want to do that playing Call of Duty. Sometimes you would want to do it playing Apex. And I think they've done a good job recently at doing that. Now, I think they've teetered so much towards the casuals. They need to go back towards the content creators and the pros and give back the rank system that everybody wanted, because now you have the outlet for the casuals to be able to be like, this is too sweaty for me, I'm just going to play mixtape or regular BR. It's got to go back the other way because this rank system right now is obviously not going to cut it. It's not going to do it. After this season, if they keep it, I would be genuinely surprised. So that's where my disconnect is. I do think it is
leaning towards casual though, in a way, right?
No, it's heavy. It's heavy leaning towards casual, I would say.
Ranked at this current moment is pretty heavily leaning casual because of
ridiculously high casual leaning.
Right, exactly, right. And one thing, Wyatt, and maybe you can help me out with this, but I think a lot of times it's hard for the casual player to view from a more competitive side because they haven't been there before. But I think in regards to like pro players, they've kind of can see from a casual perspective easier in some regards because they do play the game quite a bit, and so they can see the aspects that are more lenient whenever it comes to casual things, easier things. Whereas competitive, there's so much more that goes into the game at like such a micro level that a lot of casuals will never be able to understand that, which is a-okay because that's like you have to have casuals and competitive people in order for this game to continue to thrive. Specifically casuals, considering that's probably where the majority of like how Apex makes money in most video games or all video games, right? So I guess to round that out, that question, I think a lot of that is just due to the mentality disconnect of the lack of information, like how people are not capable of being able to look at the other side as easily, like 50-50 in a way. Just because, I mean, how many times have pros been blamed, like pros and streamers blamed for changes?
Yeah, they get blamed. That's what I was going to bring up too, is they get blamed all the time. It's always like, because with the other pod, I hear it a lot more often. It's like, they made this change because of the pros, because of the pros, because of the pros. And my thing is like, I think there's a lot of casuals right now who didn't start playing until much later seasons. But I feel like if you were a casual since day one, I would argue you can look at this game and be like, this has been heavily influenced by the casual side of the game. If you take a look at what's been happening right now, and I think we have to take that and just be like, yeah, like, yes, there have been things changed in the past because of the pros, but I don't see him as like a negative, to be honest. The one thing that I think everybody needs to pay attention to is like the firing range has been adjusted. You can now do private matches with your friends. You now have a mixtape playlist that is consistently going all day long with all different maps, and you still have the casuals. If you allow the pros and competitors to create and go back to a system in ranked that was more competitive and felt more competitive, I think you have to give it to them at that point. I don't know if Respawn's going to do that, but I mean, once again, season 13, split 1, if it went back to that, I think you see a lot more people, at least in the pro side, start to get heavily engaged. And when we had Hal on, he talked about how the numbers were so crazy. Like the numbers during that time for streamers were popping off because everybody wanted to see these late games, because you could get lobbies with multiple different pros in there, multiple different content creators in there. I think you got to give them that, because if you look at all the stuff they've given the casual community up until this point, you got to, like, something's got to give at some point, and it's got to start tilting back the other way, because these are the guys who are going to continue to carry the game. Like, I think a lot of the games that last a long time, one of the reasons they do is because they have a devoted scene of competitive, like, look at CSGO, look at Rocket League. Like, those games, they've carried on for a very long time because of their pro scene. And I think if we can cultivate a good pro scene by keeping the pros happy, giving them a rank system that they actually enjoy to play, I would be heavily in favor with that, because I already have my mixtape. I love mixtape. I almost exclusively play mixtape because I enjoy it. I like to just run around and do nothing all day. And every once in a while, if I do want to play BR, then I'll hop in rank and do all that. But I mean, the system is just garbage. So it's got to go back the other way, is my point. It's got to go back the other way at some point.
I think we answered that pretty well.
I think so as well. I mean, I would also love to hear other people's opinions, other casuals, if there's any out there. I've been getting DMs of people being like, thank you for saying stuff for the casuals. I really appreciate that. I would love to hear your guys' opinions as well on some of the things that I might have missed that maybe the pros kind of like swagger around with. Let me know. You guys should, if you want to, give me all that information. Join the Discord. It'll be in the link down below. Click, join, say what's up. Talk to the boys, talk to the fellas. Once again, huge. That was a great question. Thank you for the question, because it is one of those topics that is very, very interesting. Let's move on into the next one here. Okay, last one here. This one comes from Kunin991, and they say, I'd love to hear if you guys have any ideas for how there could be better integration promotion of ALGS within Apex for players who may know nothing about the comp scene. My idea is to update the map to have Apex Museum-inspired pingable spots on the World's Edge storm point of the past ALGS moments, which would automatically send those clips to the user's inbox. That's interesting. Think of the rock where TSM Ascend battle took place, the showdown between Yuki and Hal outside of Lava Side. This is a great idea. That would be so cool. That is such a good idea. Because, like, you know how on Olympus, outside of the Pathfinder's place, you can ping the Pathfinder statue and it'll give you like a little voice line. Imagine that rock on Storm Point. Imagine that rock on Storm Point. There's like a little plaque. You ping that. That would be so cool. That would be awesome. That is a great idea. Anyway, any other ideas that you guys have to integrate more ALGS stuff to players who may not be as plugged in as we are?
Yeah. Okay. Two things. And one of my a friend of mine, his name's Thomas, thought about this idea, and I was like, wow, would be such a cool idea. But having, you know how there's a museum, Apex Museum on World's Edge? Like, you could have a whole segment like dedicated to the 3 people that won the tournament from that previous ALGS or something. And they already have a hall or museum of Apex Legends, so I feel like it's super easy to implement in that. Maybe not, but it would just go along the lines of that. I feel like it makes the most sense to do that. Anyway, that, and then I thought Okay, League of Legends has like sponsors in between like their league matches. Like there's a Lexus and banner as somebody's rotating from jungle to bottom mid, right? I mean something crazy. I don't know if you could get that crazy whenever it comes to Apex because you don't really want to take the element. There's like a balance of striking a balance between whenever somebody's in game, like where it can potentially take them out of that experience. So seeing an advertisements of ALGS could potentially take somebody who's views the game in a very critical or a very literal sense in Apex. I don't know. Do you understand what I'm saying? Um, but my second idea would be to have some sort of ALGS banner, like promoting when the tournament would be in game, like while somebody's playing the game, like in some sort of rotation, or you know how it has the banners for crypto or whatever. Like it would have those banners, those screens. It could have all the things that are normal, except at the very end, you also have an ALGS starts whatever. Maybe that's too random, but they can maybe have in-game events that promote it. But those are my two main ideas to promote ALGS in some capacity. Do you have anything as well?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys. I mean, Wyatt, you can go.
I was gonna say one of my ideas, and it's super super small, but I think it actually makes like a big impact. I'm still heavy on my Rocket League grind. Right above, I think Apex does this, but when you say ALGS is happening and you first log into Apex, it'll give you like this big screen of like the news thing. They always have that news thing that pops up. Naturally, my brain is like, click out of that immediately. I just immediately like click out of any news thing that pops up. What Rocket League does that's different is it has a little flashing play now, like recording sign right above the play game button. So anytime you're about to start a new match, you see that it's going right now. And I'm pretty sure you can click on it and it'll like take you there. So I think that would be some like a small change, because yes, they put it in the little news thing, but I think everybody's first instinct is to click out of that because they're just trying to get ready to play or something. Instead of doing that, where it just shows up for a second and then you don't see it again until you close the game and reopen it again, have it just kind of flashing right there above the next match, or like the ready up, or like how I was like, do it right next to the ready up button, or something like that, and maybe have it to where it could redirect you if you wanted, or gave you the information on where to go. I think that would be a little change, but it would be definitely interesting to the people who just aren't on social media all that often and don't really know what they're missing out on. I think that would be like such a small change, but a big one.
Wow, that's crazy. I forgot. You're right. I forgot that Rocket League does that. But it's basically like saying, "Hey, there's pro matches happening right now if you want to watch that." Also, if you don't want to and that doesn't matter, that's okay. You can play your regular game, but it at least shows it in game, literally in game. And excuse me, I believe it does take you to their Twitch page of the actual thing going on. I don't know how hard that would be implemented or hard to implement, but that's another great direction that they could take when it comes to promotion.
Yeah, I think end game promoting is would be huge, because you got to take advantage of the player base, even though it's not as big as it may have once been at one point due to the shambolics of what is season 17. But yeah, I think that's a huge idea, and could like literally just a link to play Apex, and then as well as if they had, how like they have the things that rotate on the right side of your screen when you're in the lobby. If they had like one of those being like a link to like different outlets that cover Pro Apex, like the different subreddits, the different podcasts, the different watch parties, like just providing more access, or like creating more visibility for the people that are covering Apex Legends content to the people who are playing the game in the game.
There's also a community aspect of it too.
Piggybacking off of Wyatt, but yeah.
No, I think, and if you also added it to where, like you just said, you could click on a different watch party rather than just the Play Apex stream. I mean, they would have to pick very specific creators that they knew could represent the brand, which I don't think would be hard for them to find. But if you were able to do that to where you could click on like 3 different ones, maybe let's say it's like Nice Wigs or something like that. You click on one of those instead of like the actual Play Apex thing. I know they'd probably want to funnel them into Play Apex, so they might not do that. But I do think it'd be something interesting because think about it: if you play Apex but you've never really paid attention to ALGS, when you click on that link that says play now, let's say they take my idea and right next to the ready up button there's like a flashing icon that tells you that there's ALGS action going on right then. When you click on it, if it gave you the option to click on Nice Wigs, you'd be like, oh, I know who that is. I watch him. And you'd click on that, and eventually you could get funneled into the Play Apex one because you're just trying to get people paying attention to that aspect of the game. So yes, you'd probably, from a business perspective, you'd probably want to funnel them directly to your page. But if you were able to direct them even just to watch the product, I think it still ends up helping out in the long run, and you can get somebody to kind of find their way to pick a team or pick a player and kind of follow them from there. If they were just hop on, let's say the first thing they see is like a Gilderson's fucking 1v3 right when they join into the Nice Wig stream, it's like that could create a bond that lasts all the way through, and now you're seeing somebody who wasn't really paying attention to it and building into that scene. So I think it would be cool if they could add in the creators as well to it. They would just need to find the right ones and make sure they could balance that out. But I think it'd be a good idea nonetheless. And I would love to see more integration with the pro scene because, like I said, I do think that is why we see some games last a lot longer than maybe you would think they would. Like Rocket League still being like going strong to this game has a lot attributed to that pro scene. And it's always kind of talked about. It's always a big spectacle when it's around. So I think that would be a big change. But yes, I think all of that. Great question. That was a great question. And I also loved your idea. The inbox idea is really, really cool. If they were able to upload videos of those moments, like I was thinking if you went to that light pole where Lava Siphon used to be, where where it's Snipe Down won the match using the Bloodhound axe, and you just had something there. Or sorry, not Lava Siphon, Lava City. Lava City.
Yeah. No, perfect.
Yeah, that would be really, really cool. I know Lava City's not there anymore, but if you found a place to put it, yeah, RIP. But it would just be cool. You go to the inbox, you watch the moment, and then you're just like, oh shit, Snipe Down just won TSM a match by using his Bloodhound axe and bludgeoning people with it. What a match, what a moment. There's plenty of moments like that throughout this scene that people wouldn't realize unless they looked at that stuff. So yeah, that is a very, very good idea. I love that. Okay, ladies and gents, that was our last question. Without further ado, we are going to throw it down to iiTzTimmy. I would say Mount Rushmore interview. I would definitely say Timmy's on the Mount Rushmore so far. It was a great interview with Timmy. We get into a lot of various like different topics that, like we said at the beginning, we didn't expect, but it was awesome nonetheless. And it was great to talk about. Let's hit a quick ad. And on the other side, we get into iiTzTimmy. All right, here we are, ladies and gents, with a very special guest. It's been a long time coming. We're very excited. We've got 100 Thieves. iiTzTimmy on the show here today, an absolute legend of the game, a legend in Apex Legends. Timmy, how are you doing, my man?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we are feeling good. Your rise has been kind of crazy. There's been so many awesome moments throughout your career that we want to get to. So many cool things that we want to talk about here. I think we should probably start with the thing that is most prominent right now, and that is you trying to grind through Challenger Circuit, trying to get and compete in Apex Legends right now, trying to get to the ALGS. How's the team doing right now? How are you guys feeling?
I mean, honestly, it's the best team I've ever had personally. I mean, I think we are doing really good. I mean, we got second in the Challenger Circuit. We were 2 points off finals, and like the 2 points that we could have gotten were actually like possible to get. There was one mistake of me just being like, oh, you could maybe just res me here, and if I didn't say that, they would be alive and actually walk in together and get 2 more kills, and actually we would have won based off those points. But it's obviously like hindsight, and stuff like that. But a lot of our mistakes are like easy mistakes, and it's just, you know, little bit of, you know, not talking, a little bit of like misplays or like macro calls, but it's like I feel like we have a lot of like direction and a lot of like game plan as we play, and it's really great. You know, like the boys are insane. I mean, it's just nice to have like these people who like can think on their own, actually, you know, make the decisions without me having to like tell them like you need a cat wall here, you need to throw your seer ult here, and you know they just do all that on their own, and they just all I need to focus on is like getting us to each spot. And I mean, we've been playing really well in our scrims, and I mean, I think we're going to be doing pretty good for LCQ.
You guys almost won that thing too. I mean, you almost like the clutch at the end, dude. It was so like pure class, bro. It was actually really clean. So, even though it didn't really matter because you guys had already qualified for LCQ, so it didn't matter. But at the end of the day, you like obviously want to win and stuff. But yeah, y'all's team is looking pretty solid for not being a squad for too long. How has it been kind of taking over the shot calling role? Because back in the GG days, you weren't really an IGL, right? So how has that been for you making that transition?
Yeah, so I actually watched a video of Hotsick reviewing Golden Guardians about 3 years ago, and watching that time of me was just like, wow, I actually, you know, I was the IGL of Golden Guardians. I've always wanted to be the IGL because I always thought the plays and like the macro calls were like I thought like I had really smart ideas. The thing is, I just was really inexperienced and competitive, and just in general, like competing as like in like battle royales. So I just didn't understand like how to rotate, how like the zones were, and I think a lot now I have like learned that people have taught me, and I also just like, you know, done my own research behind it, and I can see that I've significantly become a greater IGL, and I mean it's amazing. I feel like it's the most rewarding thing to just like have things connect and be able to actually like communicate that to my team, like what I'm thinking.
It's nice to have Tyler as well to kind of bounce things off of. I mean, Enemy's also really smart too, and they very intelligent and good with like has great game sense. But Tyler, obviously with the G2 experience, a longtime player, being an IGL is probably nice to have like a right alongside of you to help like base those decisions around.
Yeah, I mean, I am a very sporadic player sometimes. When I see like openings and I see a lot of things happening, I'm like, oh, we need to go there. Like we ate this like ASAP. But he sometimes like be like, I think we should chill. I think we should chill. You know, like that's like too much. We're doing too much, and it's the experience he has from competing, you know, all this time that he's like making me slowly learn. Like, oh wait, like yeah, you're right. Maybe like, that actually was a bad play if I were to jump down right here. And you know, I mean, they're both really great players. I think Enemy, he's, you know, really. I don't know if people know much about him, but he is an insane player. I'm not trying to get him poached or anything, but I think he's really good. You know, just his zone calls, the amount of work he like puts into the actual game. Um, I just think he's a really like, you know, good pickup, really good pickup.
And like Finn mentioned, having Dezign there has to help a little bit because he has the IGL experience in the past too. I'm sure he's been helping out with some of your calls. I think that there's been like we've talked to a lot of different pros about the differences between like the scrim lobbies and the actual like ALGS lobbies. Has he talked to you at all about that, or is it just common knowledge like, okay, we may be able to do the things we're doing right now in these lobbies, but when it gets down to the nitty gritty things, we're probably going to have to tighten up just a little bit here?
Yeah, actually, we definitely did have that talk before. So, we actually had a Steel Series tourney where we played with I think about half of like the NAA Pro League, and then the other half was like LCQ teams. And honestly, they like Dezign was kind of like, I want to say, giving more ideas during that time, and it was like more of like just the basic like pro league plays, like we should go play this, we should go do that. And we actually didn't play that well, not because of like his IGL, but it was more just like they were doing very textbook things. They, like, oh, we should go play this building, we should go rotate from this way, and it just didn't work out. And honestly, like in Challenger circuit, it is a lot different. The players are obviously not as good. They don't understand like the positionings and stuff like that. And I obviously, like, I played Challengers last year and this year, so I kind of knew how like the players were, and obviously like just playing the past like 3 CCs before they joined. I just knew how to play a lot of the rotates, and they were kind of just like, okay, well, Timmy, like your IGLing is actually like working, and it's like really reassuring because both of them actually like say like, yeah, like the calls that you do are like really good. Like from not being a good IGL in the past to have 2 like pro league players tell me that like my IGL is doing good, it's like a big confidence boost to like know that like, okay, well, I'm not gonna like shy away from like certain calls. I'm like, all right, let's do this call. Like I believe this is the call, and it actually transitions to a lot of the LCQ scrims and even like the like Twitch rivals and everything that we've been playing recently. So it's really exciting.
So it's very clear that you have significantly improved as an IGL, and would you say that that is the only difference between this time around for you compared to other seasons, or is your mindset about the way that you're approaching this pro, like your attempt to make pro league and as well as the LCQ, are you approaching it any differently than you have in the past, or is it just the increase in IGLing?
It's actually like everything. I mean, in the past, I would say like in Golden Guardians, that was like, obviously I wanted to be like pro. I'm like trying as hard as possible. But when we got signed as to Golden Guardians, me, P-Fitter, Bronzy, we were signed as content creators, not pro players, but we were content creators that got to compete. So in my like obviously the back of my head, like we're content creators, like I'm not like really doing too much in terms of like competing wise. Like if we were to lose, it did not matter to us. You know what I mean? But obviously like we enjoyed competing. We all like wanted to win. We still tried it super hard, but it wasn't like to the point where I felt like we were VOD reviewing, constantly researching how to get better. We were kind of just going with the flow, and our going with the flow was doing fine. We were able to play, like, hang in the big lobbies still, because obviously the lobbies back then, people also didn't really know what they were doing as well. So that was kind of like my approach at first when I started competing. And then as time went on, my content creation started doing better. I started becoming a bigger streamer, and I eventually just drifted away from pro play because one, I always didn't really know, and I talked about it in like a YouTube video and on my stream kind of more in the past like couple of months, where I actually like kind of had depression, and I wasn't really quite sure of like whether it was because I was competing and playing bad, or if it was the streaming grind and like there were so many things with the numbers, and like it was constantly just in my head comparing myself with other streamers and my peers. So I just took a step back from competitive in general, and I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna focus on content creation, live my life, and see how that goes. And life started just slowly going up and down, and eventually I competed again with Nicewig and Prizzy. And during that time still just kind of like, okay, well, I'm still like shaky about like how I feel, but let's kind of give it another chance. And then we competed again. But when we competed for Team Sheesh, it was also just like a for fun thing. We kind of came together. We all agreed like, hey, let's make a streamer team. Let's kind of do what people do in like CSGO or Valorant, and just have like a streamer team where we're not pro players. We just compete for fun and see how far we make it. And we started doing really well. We started going, like, getting finals in every challenger circuit, and eventually we made pro league. And things eventually started getting a little shaky because our IGLing. I am more of an edge player, and that's kind of like how it is right now. And for my team, and Nicewig is a very hard zone player, and we just clashed in ideas because it's kind of impossible to exist. And I actually teamed with Bronzy too, because he's also the same thing, and same thing happened. It's just impossible to have a zone and edge like IGL on the same team. So yeah, then sorry, I know it's kind of like a long rant about that.
No, this is a great answer.
Yeah,
this is a very full, in depth,
yeah,
covering every angle of it, and I appreciate it.
Of course, thank you. So yeah, I mean, just in general, we eventually stopped competing because I was going through my own stuff, and Jack had his personal reasons. So we just eventually decided to quit, and that was pretty much it. I got obviously a huge backlash, and I think so did Nicewig as well from the community for quitting Pro League, and it kind of just like made me like especially going through that kind of hard time. I was just like, yeah, maybe I don't want to compete anymore. Maybe I think competitive is just like so far from what I want. It's just like, if that's how like the community and like kind of the pro like community is gonna treat like me, just like straight up like leaving. Obviously, I left in a kind of a bad way, but there's also like I had my reasons, of why I needed to go, and that's just kind of just it. That was just why I left. And then now, about I think a year and a half later, I kind of gotten a better mental, kind of figured out what I want to do in life, and I decided, okay, like let's take this chance to like do something. Like I've always wanted to compete. I've always wanted to win something. You watch like Fnatic win VCTs, or like TSM win Apex LAN. It's like, oh my gosh, like that must feel insane. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to win like big tourneys, because I've never really won too much. And my approach this time now has been like, all right, I'm gonna give it my all. I'm going to learn. I'm going to ask people like what I need to do. I'm gonna ask coaches, and really just kind of figure out like actually how to play the game, rather than just play the game and figure it out as well. Because all my life I've just kind of played, and then it was like, oh yeah, like that clicked. Oh wait, I played that zone before. You know what I mean? Like that's it. But it was never like I watched another team play, see how they rotate, see how, like what their strategies are whenever they have this zone, how they play that zone, how they play edge. And I mean, learning a lot of the like that outside of just playing has been just like an overload of just like information that I'm just like, holy, like I'm just I was like low-key stressed for like the first like 2 months of like challenger circuit, because I just couldn't like really like, it was like knowledge that made just way too much sense, but it was just like too much of it. So I was just like, holy, I'm frustrated. But I've gotten it down now, and I mean, I just enjoy and love competing right now.
Literally the game inside the game, bro. Like what you're talking about, like knowing the meta of the meta, and like how people play around you. Like that's a lot of that. That is what makes a great IGL into like one of the best, right? And so that's habits that you have to just do. That's a lot of VOD review. That's a lot of information. That's a lot of experience. But like we talked about, you have some people around you that are able to help you, whether that's a coach like you're getting information from. You guys don't have a coach right now, right?
Bronzy was actually our coach, but he just got an internship at 100 Thieves, so we're probably gonna have to look for a new coach soon.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, hopefully you'll be able to have somebody that to like take a little bit off of that, take the load a little bit off of you, to get that information and stuff. But you continue to keep putting in the work. You putting in a lot of hours. I mean, I've been seeing like 10-hour streams and like just a lot of mechanical, where you're getting the mechanical up and like refining that, but also at the same time going back to the meta of the meta, right? You're trying to figure out how to put your team in the best spot while also learning to be a good IGL. Just a bunch of stuff that's going on. So I do see how you could get overwhelmed, but I think you've taken it pretty well, and you've done a pretty good job at that.
You're basically taking on like 100-foot wave, like on your first time ever surfing, rather than just hopping on the board and having somebody teach you. You're just going straight out in the 100-foot wave. It's kind of crazy to watch from afar, but it is cool and it is admirable. And I think there's a lot of questions that rise from it too, because like you said, there was some backlash when you guys had kind of had to leave for a little bit there. And I don't know if everybody knew the behind the scenes of like you not feeling yourself on top of the fact that you guys were clashing. How hard was that decision in the end? Because I know I feel like everybody thinks it's just like, oh, they're just streamers, they're just like, whatever, we'll just leave, who cares. I don't think they were giving any of you guys enough credit to how hard that decision actually was.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think a lot of people kind of just assume that our lives are kind of easy. You know, people just think that like, oh yeah, wake up, you know, play video games, and then go to sleep. That's it, you know. And you know, don't get me wrong, like that is, you know, obviously what we do, but there's so many like types of different stress that, you know, being a streamer, being, you know, being somebody who is having an influence of obviously a lot of people deal with every single day, and it's just like mm, the the kind of the process of streaming is very toxic, and it's or just like not even actually streaming, just being an influencer in general, if just constantly wanting to grow, and it's very hard on your mental, and it's like to make that decision of like quitting pro league and then having all this backlash, it was just like dang, you know, like obviously we didn't want to leave. I mean, I wanted to compete still. We all said like, hey, like let's play. But when Nicewig had to step down because, you know, he had family issues, it was like, okay, well, now he never kind of really gave us an idea of when he's going to come back. And it's like, okay, well, he could be gone for a week. He could be gone for a couple of days. He could be gone for the entire pro league split. So it's like, you know, it's now up to me and a Prizzy to figure out like, do we want to find a sub? It's like, hey, like we sat together here as three and said like, let's just have a good time, play competitive, and that's it. But now we're you know, if we find a third, we have to kind of take it more seriously now. You know, I'm sure our third wouldn't just be a streamer as well, just for fun. So that there is that like aspect of it, and then it was also just like, well, I was going through my own stuff. A lot of people I kind of always talked about this again, but people think that I quit because my PC broke, but like my streaming PC was the one that, you know, it got fried, so then it couldn't stream, and I didn't stream for like I think 2 weeks or a month or something, but I was still able to compete, you know, and play. I just had like sponsor obligations. I was also like I had a sponsor obligation when that weekend was happening. I also obviously, you know, kind of was going through my own stuff, and I asked like, you know, we all talked together as three, and like we were saying like, hey, if we don't play with the sub, like we're gonna be pretty much like kicked and we were disqualified and we can't play anymore. And we all just came together as three and just said, yeah, that's fine. Let's just, you know, like we're all just busy and we have our things, you know, in our life right now. Let's just, you know, quit. Let's just stop it. And it wasn't like we like a lot of people said that we like justice for Prizzy, and you know, we should give him justice because he was the only one who didn't have things going on. But we all came together and we just said, yeah, it's fine, no big deal. So yeah, it was very hard to come to that decision, but I mean, at the end we did that, and we definitely didn't realize that we were going to get so many backlash for sure, especially when there was actually another team who did this almost the same thing in terms of quitting, but they quit. It was weird. They were able to quit their team, but then also remake their team again, which made no sense. And I was like, just it made no sense because why couldn't we do that? You know, I mean, we tried to do that because like you know, maybe like I think a couple of weeks later, but it was just too much to handle.
Times have changed now too in that regard, so you can't really get away with that now. But back then, you could.
Yeah.
And now like we kind of move forward here, and you were saying like the first couple times you're like, yeah, I mean, we wanted to compete, but it was content creator stuff. Like we were signed as content creators. It was more like, let's just have fun. Now you're in a zone where you're saying to yourself, no, I really want to compete for this. I think I have the ability. I think I have the talent. And more importantly, you think you have the team, but there's like a weird crossroads that comes in, because obviously for the most part, you've been a content creator, and now you're having to do all of these different things. You mentioned VOD review, all this different stuff that goes into being a pro, and like the stuff that all of these pros, especially the best ones, do most. Is there like a weird balancing act for you between content creation and trying to make sure you're the best version of yourself in game for ALGS as possible? Because I would assume with all the other things you have to do on the side, probably makes it a lot harder to focus on content creation. Or is it kind of like easier now that you're a little bit more established and you have more of your roots set in this community?
It's definitely a lot harder for sure. I mean, I think for the past like 4 months for sure, as I was competing in the challenger circuit, I want to say my content has not been the greatest. I mean, just being truth to like my community and everyone who's been watching, it felt like I we're just kind of just streaming my like practice and like just me constantly like kind of figuring it out. So it's definitely just not high energy, being like, all right, let's just go. Like, oh my gosh, like I'm reacting hard as I'm playing. It was just like constant me being frustrated, me trying to figure stuff out, me having to like, because I've been starting to host the scrims recently, so me figuring out to find the teams to host the scrims, finding the everything was just really hard because I would, wake up, do some, like research on like what I need to do like for the day, watch like my VODs, review, then I warm up, get on stream, and then I'm streaming scrims, and then I'm playing ranked with the boys. So a lot of that time is kind of just focused on us and not on the community. And it's just like, I felt like I was kind of ignoring them, and I felt really bad. I'm like, all right, like always constantly thinking about it. Like next day, I'm gonna be a little more energetic. I'm gonna talk to chat. I'm gonna try to read them as much. But then it just like it spirals, and you get kind of like lost in the moment as you're playing, and constantly practicing. And the schedule was definitely really rough. I felt like for me in the past, like actually like maybe 6 months. I mean, I didn't really have too much like vacation. I mean, I typically actually don't have that much vacation in general. I spend majority of my life inside, and if I were to ever go outside, it's birthday parties, which aren't that often, and probably me going to the gym recently, but that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's very low for sure, and I think like a lot of my time is just constantly just figuring it out. So but I think more recently, now that challenger circuit's over, I kind of got a little bit of a break. I got to actually like really, enjoy like streaming again. Like I got to like actually play games and talk to chat, and like I felt like happy kind of talking, and playing, rather than just like, constantly like, oh my god, like what's going on here, looking at like information on the side, just stuff like that.
You mentioned earlier, you talked a little bit about how you were going through your own personal struggles with depression and trying to figure out where exactly you fit in. And now you mentioned the gym and talking a little bit how you the last couple months you've been feeling a little bit better. Is there is there a crossroads there? Is it like you've been going to the gym, started feeling a lot better, or like what was there like a turning point where you're like, okay, now I'm starting to feel good again. I feel like I'm myself again. What was that for you?
So how I kind of started feeling alive was actually when I joined Red Bull. So when I first joined Red Bull to make my announcement video, we actually skydived. And when I skydived, I literally like felt like, the chance of death technically, because you go through that process of signing waivers, and you have that like that antsy feeling of getting on the plane and jumping. But as I got onto the plane, I was wearing a heartbeat like sensor, and my heartbeat was like staying at like 90 the entire time as I was going up in the airplane. Like I felt nervous for sure when I was in the plane, because it was kind of like wobbling up and down. But as I jumped, it only peaked to 100 beats per minute, and it kind of like revived me. It was like, dang, like if the parachute doesn't open, I could truly just die right here. And is that something I really wanted? And it kind of was like, no, it was like all my life, when you go through like that depression, you kind of think like, you have those feelings of like, what if, and that is an actual moment of like, what if this, didn't happen? So it kind of revived me and kind of had like a grasp of like living. And honestly, I've been I actually skydived 3 times now, and I enjoy it. I just think that it's a good way to kind of let myself know, like, hey, like you can die at any moment, and you really want to stay alive. And I mean, like, there's obviously other things. Like, I talked to my parents, told them about what I was going through, and my siblings. I've talked to a lot of friends about it, and just like in general, like a lot of them just kind of reassured me and said like, "Yo, Timmy, like, I get it. Like, it's funny that you say that because I've been through the same thing." And I was like, "Whoa, that's crazy." You know what I mean? Like, really? And like a lot of like the streamer, like this the I don't know how to explain it, but it's just so like it feels like something about streaming is so wrong mentally that it just eats people alive. And to hear that it's like this, same with everybody, it's kind of reassuring that, like, I'm not doing this alone. Like, we all are doing the same thing. We all kind of struggle with the same thing, and it makes actually like the friendships I have right now with a lot of my friends stronger, because I get to go to them and talk to them about anything. Like, hey, like my numbers are down. Like, what should I do about this? And then it's like, oh, like, you should do that. It's really cool to have like kind of like that space together. So.
Yeah, definitely. It's like you have the consistency of always being in the public eye at all time, and then you have a decision where you're like, something happens, something in life comes up, and you get backlash like you had with that situation. It's probably just a mixture of a lot of things, but being able to form those bonds probably is really awesome, really positive, and I'm glad to see that. The one thing I worry about though is, what if you skydive so many times that it's just not a rush anymore, and you got to do something else? What are we gonna do?
Then I'll always find the next thing. But I think for me, like, I mean, maybe I should jump off like a couple other things. Who knows?
We're gonna have to jump off various things. That's what we're gonna have to do.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think like I need to like kind of try to skydive to kind of relive that moment. I think like I understand now for sure, and I don't think I would kind of ever go back to where I was. I mean, it's kind of like in like that topic is so like just really weird and strange sometimes. And it's like I feel, how people are always saying like, if you're going through those thoughts, you should always talk to somebody. But I truly think that like if I ever like really considered, it would just be like, I don't think I would have the courage to tell anybody. You know what I mean? I think it would just be like, I just can't. Because I knowing about it, like I've always thought like, okay, like what if my parents are gonna feel, like what if my siblings are gonna feel, like I thinking about like how they would feel, just like obviously it breaks my heart. And like it just like, I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could like tell them, you know what I mean? And that's why it's just like, if I was ever that like deep into like my depression, I don't think I could. And like I think now knowing that, it kind of made me kind of go away from it and be like, all right, like I wanted to make sure that I'm not only just living for myself, but living for the people around me too. So I think I'm good.
That's great. That's really good insight. That's really good insight. And for people who don't fully understand it, that's something they can definitely take away from this entire conversation. So I love that. That's awesome, man.
I just wanted to say, because I'm someone who I've had, like when I was growing up from like 8th grade through like my senior year of high school, I dealt with like pretty severe depression. So I can really relate and empathize with what with what you've gone through. And it's absolutely great to see how well you're thriving coming out on the other side of that. And so I know that one of the biggest things for me, and I didn't realize it as much as I'm conscious of the fact of this is what I was doing back then as I am now. But one of the biggest things was when I started changing the way that I thought about things, everything started to change and life got better almost as a result of the fact of where I was putting like my attention and my focus was, instead of on like all of these things that I don't have, it was like on all the things that I do have to be grateful and appreciative for. And so it was just simply changing the way that I thought about things, then changed the way that I experienced life, and then my life got dramatically better as a result of it. And so would you say that in your experience that you could relate to the idea of changing what you're focusing on leading to help and people going through depression or other mental issues?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think being human, just in general, like you just think certain ways, and sometimes like even if you kind of trying to change your mindset about stuff, it eventually comes back. Like, habits are like a thing, and the way you think about something kind of like won't really change too much. Like you can kind of like thinking about it in a different way, in a more brighter light, but sometimes like whatever, like usually the hard root things are typically going to like stay. I just think that sometimes you just have to like really think about like, does it really matter though? Because um that's kind of like how I view a lot of things now too. And it's just like that's something that I never really thought about how much before. But it's like, let's say it's like, how much money am I making? How many viewers do I have? Like obviously you want more and more and more, and that part will never leave you. But it's like, dude, does that really matter though? Like, is that like really what's actually making me happy? And like back then, I didn't understand that. It was like I viewed my happiness based off that number. Like whatever that stats was on my other monitor, it would be like, oh, this month I'm up 200 viewers. That's good. That's great. I'm happy because that number is up. But because that number is down now, I'm not happy. And like, it was just like such a bad way of thinking constantly. And now figuring out like, does that even matter? It's made me just like kind of view that with everything in general. And, it made me focus on the things that really do matter. And that's obviously like, my family, my friends, my relationships with just like the people who actually care for me. Because back then, you don't really know kind of who's there for you. Like even though like you talk to somebody like a lot, like every single day, like you don't really know like kind of I guess like the relationship you have with them until you really have like a deep talk. And going through that like depression, being able to kind of express that and let them know my story, it really like some people, I'm not gonna lie, they just didn't really say too much when I told them, and that it was kind of just like enough for me to know to myself like, that isn't somebody that I want in my life. I don't think like I want them around. They just didn't seem like they cared. And the ones who are like always like, they like hug me, they let me know that like it's okay. Like those are the people that I want like to be like next to me. So that made me realize like everything doesn't matter except those people. So
Nice.
yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I didn't expect, like, this is the last thing I expected to talk about on this interview, but it's so great because so many people have struggled with this. And it's not just streamers, obviously, it's everyone. There's a lot of people out there who are in other situations where they feel similar to how you felt. And so it's really cool to have a conversation about something like this. It's very, very cool. I wanted to kind of transfer into your beginning, how you started streaming, where you came from, how this whole thing came to be. And it could start from when you first picked up a controller or mouse and keyboard for the first time. It could be however you started, or it could just start from when you decided, hey, I think I'm going to try to stream a little bit. Wherever you want to start, how did iiTzTimmy become the Timmy we know today?
Okay. I guess it all started when I was like 5. Like the that's like probably my youngest thought I've ever actually had. But it was when my brother was playing MapleStory for like probably the first time, and he was just grinding it, and I was just like sitting, looking like over his shoulder, like, oh, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to see what you're doing, and I was just begging him to make me an account because I just didn't know, obviously, like how to make a Gmail account. Like I'm 5 at this age, like I have no idea what I'm doing. I just tell him like, make me account, I want to play. So eventually, it led to us just playing together a lot, playing with MapleStory and Soldier Front. Those are the 2 games that we played a lot because I think they were on the same client. It was like iiJJI, and we just gamed that like majority of my like young life, and then that transitioned to probably like middle schoolish, and that's when we started picking up like League of Legends and before we go there, that when we were playing MapleStory, my brother's name is Teddy, and he actually created the username I have today. he actually was iiTzTeddy first, and we had matching names where now mine became iiTzTimmy, and it was just cool, having similar names. The reason why we named it was, everyone obviously puts it's in front of them like ITS, but I think at the time the iPhones were like really popular, and we just like made like iBook or like I like Shadow, that's like our usernames. We just always added I in front of it because it just looked cool, like how people put like X in front of it, you know what I mean? Like X Shadow X or something. And it was taken for both of us. So then we just said, oh, like why don't we just put an extra I and change it up and put a Z, you know what I mean? Make it look a little cool. And that's how we made our names. Well, he made the name actually, and that just transitioned to everything I did. I when I played League of Legends or CS:GO, that was always the name I used, and from there on out, eventually, I was a casual gamer. I just played for fun. Obviously trying to get better, but it was like the same thing, like kind of like when I was saying in the past, like how I learned was just playing. It wasn't looking up guides. It wasn't looking up at these pro players. It's just simply just playing the game and just really figuring it out on my own. And when I now came to high school and I graduated, I was like, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to go to college and be a software engineer like my dad wants me to be? Or, do I want to do something else? So I was like, all right, I started streaming. I don't really know how I got the equipment I did, but I think in general, I just had like a regular webcam, a Blue Yeti mic. It was just stuff that I had in general that was just for casual gameplay because, obviously Blue Yeti was like really good at the time. And I think had like a cheap camera. So it was like just video call with friends, and plugged it in, was like, all right, let's do it. Let's just stream for fun. And that was pretty much it. No, like only my friends were watching, nothing big, was really just there. And I streamed and eventually got nothing out of it. And then just like, was like, okay, well, time to go to college. And then once I did 1 full year of college, my first semester, I was like, dude, I am 5 head. Like I put like, it was kind of like how I am right now in competing. I put my all of high school. I like cheated off like my friends' homeworks. I just like never really like did too much. I just slept in class. I felt like I was genuinely just going by because I was cheating off my friends, not because I was actually smart. So then I was like, okay, go to college. Let's try to figure it out and listen. I was like, damn, like I'm kind of getting it. This makes
this school thing isn't that hard.
Yeah, like this makes sense. Then second semester happened. I felt like I got hit by a truck, like of information. I was like, dude, I can't figure anything out. This is like impossible. I think I had like 30s in my class. I was like, all right, it's GG. My GPA is probably chalked. I dropped out, and I was like, Mom, Dad, I can't. I just literally can't. It's not something I want to do. I just can't I literally just can't focus at all. I just think that, this is something I want to do. I want to pursue it. There are other people who can do it, and they're obviously making a living. Obviously I didn't know how much they were making at the time, but I was just like, I believe that I want to do this and I can succeed. And they were like, my dad was typical Asian dad. Like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, this is real life. Like, you cannot think like this. Like, you have to go to school. You have to get a job, because he's traditional. He's a traditional like Korean dad, and he believes that like just education is key and to like a good future for our family. My mom, she was more like, wait, hold up, like let him cook. Like I believe in him. So she was actually the one who actually convinced my dad to let me stream, and shout out to my mom for that. And ever since then, they've been my biggest supporters. They watch almost every single one of my streams. My dad, like literally as I'm like competing in these games, he texts me like, yo, that was a good fight right there. That was a good game. Nice win. So it's really enjoyable. And that has always been like kind of like my career since then is, I restarted the stream, played Apex every single day, and I just slowly got 1 viewer, 2 viewer, 3 viewer, and it just slowly climbed, and that was it.
Yeah, and
all right, we're gonna need more of a breakdown into the slowly climb, because there are definitely
there's some milestones in there.
There's not just I just casually just started streaming and playing Apex every day, and then now
I just made it.
Average a few thousand on the regular, you know, just
no big deal.
You know, there's definitely you cooked, you know.
Yeah.
But let's get into the recipe.
Hold, I gotta say, my dude. Okay, the first time that I've ever watched your stream had to been that Twitch Rivals that was online, and they would just cut to your stream, and you'd hit a Kraber shot, and then it would have like the meme, and you'd be like, or something like that, and like you like zooms in and stuff. So you were like full on prime, like everything meme at one point, and that's how I remember. I was like, okay, this dude is hilarious. Also, really cracked at the game. What happened? So, start a little bit before that.
Okay. Whoa. I mean, that's there's a lot for sure. I mean, in general, I think as a 19-year-old kid, I I had a little bit more. I felt like personality. I was a little bit goofy. I was a shy kid, but it was also like I felt like not necessarily like like as I got older I kind of matured. I like stopped doing as much of those, and but yeah, I mean, kind of going back is the reason why a lot of it kind of worked out was when I streamed that first summer. That was kind of like my first real streaming like attempt. I streamed and I got probably like 4 viewers majority of the month, and as time went on I was playing Realm Royale. And I actually was, becoming, I felt like a good gamer in there. I felt like I was like a top player in my eyes, obviously. And, I started gaining, a couple of viewers, 10, 15, 20. And that was kind of like where it like stayed majority of the time, like 20 average viewers. And eventually I met 2 people, which was your princess. And at the time she was dating Masayoshi. And those 2 people nowadays are, they're the kind of the reason why I did good on my return, is because I think she was averaging around like 100 viewers, and John, he didn't really stream too much. He probably averaged like 10 viewers too. But when I came back, actually, the streaming after I dropped out, they had a couple hundred viewers. So knowing them, just being friends with them before I actually became a streamer, I had that kind of that help, but it was also like, I had to earn that help as well, by building that friendship with them beforehand. And when I came back to Apex, I started played with John. We would just play here and there. He eventually hosted me, gave me some viewers, and they got me back to the 10 to 15. Same thing with Jaden. She also helped me get to 50. So it was a slow kind of just like grind of help by those people, and just naturally finding new people in the Apex scene. So with the memes, the reason why I started with the memes was I actually didn't have that when I first started streaming. I had more of just like the multi-camera, where it's just like the zoom into my face and the multi-camera, and that was it. And the main reason why I did that was Dr. Disrespect, because at the time, when he was like on Twitch and he was excelling really high in his production, I was like, dude, this guy is just so funny. His production is insane. What if I did the same thing, but in like a meme format, just like all these W's, that's what I did. I just did that exact same thing. And, my approach to a lot of this was, I felt like pretty smart. I had all these memes set up, and, you have about 15 minutes whenever someone raids you to kind of show yourself off, to kind of broadcast like how good you are, how funny you are, and what makes you different amongst the people around you. So whenever I got a host, having these memes was just a cheat code of just like, this is like obviously like my gameplay can speak for itself of just being like, somewhat good. Obviously there's so many good players out there in the world. What makes me so special, right? There's not going to be that difference. So when someone just watches me play, they're gonna be like, that's it, cool. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna go watch my favorite streamer the next day. But these memes were like, whoa, I've never seen this before. Now they're like, we're like sitting here and thinking like, wait, this guy's kind of funny, and then you add some commentary, gameplay. The mixture of it was like kind of like what really started it all for sure. And eventually I met P-Fitter, and P-Fitter was just like an insane help to me. Always loved that guy, and he eventually introduced me to FemStaff, and that's when I eventually had my viral clip of what I did, falling off the map and reclimbing. She retweeted that whenever I posted it. She's amazing as well. I love her, and um, it exploded. It went everywhere. Every pro player, every person just saw that clip right there and was like, I want to check him out. So when they come check me out, they see all these memes. It was just like constant, just instant follows, and just like people just remembering like, yo, Timmy, that guy, he's the meme guy, he's the funny guy, or he's the cringe guy, whatever you wanted to call, any type of, publicity is good publicity. Like there's like the people who always like to involve themselves in drama, whether they have the right take or wrong take, they typically still benefit out of it somehow, because just being a part of drama and having the publicity, whether like it brings your name around, and people just like it's such like a scam of like of how to get your name out there sometimes. But obviously there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it, and yeah, it now went to like meeting Lulu, Nicewig, Ace, and those people. How they found me was just the same way as everyone found me. They saw the clips. They browsed through their the Apex directory, and then they host like, oh, hey, I've seen that iiTzTimmy guy before. Let's go raid him. And they just rated me, showed that stuff. Their community loved me. I'm sure they watched as well. And then eventually I started growing and becoming friends with them. And I mean, those are the three people I mean, like I would never forget in my entire life is, Nicewig hosted me. I mean, I'm pretty sure he hosted me first, and he kind of started it. He started blowing up because of Dizzy, and he shared the love to me, and that's eventually kind of how I got my name out there. And then Lulu started rating me, and it just like went from instant like 50 to 60 viewers to now like 100 150 100 200, and that was just like really insane for just obviously just to experience that. And then eventually I think I was like in Twitch Rivals, like you said, and that's how you met me. And I'd always have the Twitch Rivals on my other monitor, and I would also have my Twitch chat at me in my chat whenever I was on the main broadcast, because if I was on the main broadcast, there's so many people watching, like probably thousands. So whenever I hit a clip or we're in like the building just talking about nothing, I would play a meme. You know what I mean? And the shoutcasters would always talk about it. It was just a constant, just like having that way of showing I'm different, in that brief like 5 seconds I'm being shown. And then that eventually led to Ace also hosting me randomly, and then just the future just kind of going up from there.
Yeah, and it's been along the way though. There was also some other things, some giant milestones that kind of set the table too, and brought like a large viewership to you, like way larger than typical. And I think the number one has to be the 54-hour stream solo to Predator. And that was a thing where even
First
if you
ever.
were first ever, by the way. I don't know if I did not say that. First ever. But that one was one of those phenomenons where it was like even people who are casual Apex players knew what was happening there. Like even people who didn't really were not plugged in, not on social media, you still knew somehow that you were doing that challenge, and you were like 30 hours deep or something like that. And then traction really started to go along. There's just so many questions I have about that stream, because it's just it was one of those things. I feel like it's one of those landmarks in Apex history where when this game is all said and done, people are going to look back on it and be like, that was fucking insane. Like that was wild. That made no sense, but it was awesome. I guess my first question is, I know that there's a mental, thing that you have to go through when you're awake that long. But I watched the entire video you put up on YouTube today, or not today, but like the entire video of it. Watched it today. I'm thinking to myself, the physical toll has to be insane right now. You're sitting in the same spot, using the same two arms for and basically the same movements forever. How much did you have how much soreness did you have the next couple of days, if not the next couple of weeks? Because that must have been insane.
Oh, everything was bad. It genuinely felt like I was like honestly peaking death. Like it was just pretty bad, like everything for sure. And I don't know, I honestly just it's crazy to think about that like I did that. And that is something that like I was saying that it was really hard to tell like what I accomplished. And after I did that challenge, I didn't even think I did anything insane. Like that's like literally the truth behind it. If when I was going through depression during that time, I just was like, cool, that was insane. Let's fucking do it. You know, great. Like that, like a peaked insane viewership. Literally, I think my average viewers went from like probably 11K to like 20K for the first time I ever of like the next stream. I was like, whoa, like this is insane. What's next? You know, what can I do next? That was instantly what I thought. I couldn't even like sit there and like just like appreciate what I did for like at least like a week. You know, I couldn't. I just constantly just thought of like, nice Timmy, good shit. Let's go do something else and let's do another banger stream. But obviously, you know, I went to the doctors afterwards. I got checked up, you know, just to make sure I was all good, and you know, but yeah, everything was fine. But the toll was pretty harsh for sure. And my hands, they felt literally like super sore. They were burning. Like I like in general, when I feel like I game for like 18 to 20 hours, my hands typically start like kind of feel like fiery. You know what I mean? Like how I like to say, it just feel they burn a little bit. They feel, you know, and going through that of just I constantly just high intense gameplay, it started to the point where like I felt like I couldn't even like grip the mouse fully. That's why I wish I was on controller at the time, not gonna lie. But you know, I had to constantly just like just stay still. Like I felt like I couldn't really move too much, and a lot of like that downtime. It was during a season that was also, thank God, a little bit better in ranked system, but it was just like I could just AFK, but get the 5 KP, and then you know. But yeah, I mean, mentally, actually, I felt like wasn't too hard. I mean, I got stream sniped at every single moment for sure. That was annoying, but I think more just like I wanted to get it done. There were so many things behind it because before I actually did one beforehand, which was the solo bronze masters, and that's kind of where I was the tester for sure to see if I could even do something like this. And then I was able to do that with 33 hours. So it's like, oh, I mean, getting pred wouldn't be that much harder. You know what I mean? Like it's like only a few extra points. Little did I know that like everyone in the goddamn Apex Nation was also stream sniping me and landing on me, and it was just like the increase of viewership as well in that other stream was another reason why it was like I think I went to like 30K on that stream. So for this, it was the same thing. It was like the viewers were like 50, 70K. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I can't let everyone down. Like I genuinely think even if I didn't finish it at 56 hours, I probably would have kept going even longer. It would have got to one point where I think I mean I did some research behind it that typically an average person, you know, probably doesn't stay up that long, but you could stay up for realistically 4 to 5 days. And there was somebody I think who streamed for like 6 days straight that did die. So I was like, all right, I'm not gonna go that far, but I think I was definitely gonna try to push the 3 to 4 days for sure, and that was gonna be like my limit. But thank God it was only 56, and it's hard. It's hard for sure. I mean, I think it's not how much like you want it, because when you're like, you know, when you're in flow state, nothing will stop you. Nothing. Like you will literally get anything done. It's just my body couldn't keep up. Like I wanted to continuously keep going, and it just couldn't keep up like the pace for sure.
Oh, I would love to get an insight and a breakdown into what was consumed over the course of this 56 hours. What what were the meals throughout? Meals, snacks, caffeine. How many milligrams are we talking? I'm thinking there's got to be at least 1,000 for 56 hours. Let's get.
So from my rundown, so I made sure 2 weeks beforehand, I was eating clean. Like I was eating healthy, no energy drinks, right? Like I wanted to make sure that like my body was at peak condition, like ready for that. And then once I got to there, I had to make sure I had good sleep as well. That's a major thing. But I was also like making sure that I was awake for a long time for the days before, but not too long where it would affect me. You know what I mean? So I was making sure I was like up for 16 hours at least every other day, and then sleeping the entire like 8 to 10. So having the full rest, make sure that the recovery is good, but making sure my body's used to staying up. And once it got to the day, I made sure not to take any sort of caffeine, like nothing at the beginning. I just ate. I showered, I ate some nice food, and that was pretty much it for the first, I would say, 4 to 5 hours. Actually, yeah, I think that literally the first game, I lost my first game. So I was like, I was not prepared like in any way, like terms of like caffeine wise. And then that's when I think I drank my first Red Bull around like hour 5. I just chugged it because I didn't realize I was supposed to sip on Red Bull at the time, and to keep like the caffeine consistency good. I just chugged it, and then I was good for at least up to like probably 16. Eventually, I think I started around the nighttime because I knew that it would be like a 24 to 33 hour stream. So it was like, okay, start at night and then end at night. You know what I mean? Kind of like let it wrap around. So then eventually it started wrapping around, and naturally I actually can stay up for like 24 hours with ease. Like I don't need any energy drinks. I don't need anything, just like in my system other than food, and I could survive a 24-hour stream. With Red Bull, I feel like I can do 30 hours, and I think at that time, obviously, I took the Red Bull too soon, so then I started crashing a little bit around like the hour 18, and my roommate eventually brought me a double shot. He got food for me because he knew I was doing this subathon, or sorry, not subathon, fully marathon stream, and he got me like a double shot espresso. So I don't really know what was really in that. Not really quite sure, but there was that, and then also I was drinking this herbal green tea that also gave caffeine as well, and it's probably the size of this. So it was a pretty big one, and I was just drinking that throughout because obviously one, to keep me hydrated, but not only that, to give me that caffeine consistently throughout. And so, honestly, I don't know what was really like how much was in that, so I can't really give you too much insight on how much.
That's good insight. That's good insight.
Yeah, too much like insight on how much like milligrams of caffeine that was, but that kind of helped for a majority of it for sure. Like around like I would say hour 35 is when things started becoming really difficult. I was like falling asleep. You obviously don't get to see it in the actual YouTube video, but I turned off my camera a lot of the times because I was literally falling asleep like in my chair. Like I would stand still and be like, oh my God, I can't do this. So then I drank obviously another Red Bull. And that, like, dude, those helped a lot, but the way I did it was wrong for sure. Like I would drink it, chug it, and like, I'm ready to go. 2 hours of like lifetime just brought back to me. And then I started crashing so hard. I'm like, oh my God, I just can't. So it was a difficult battle. And I would say when you start getting like really tired of like you need to sleep, that's when you had to drink the caffeine to like bring you back. But eventually, once you got towards like the second day, around like 45 hours, you actually like feel like Jesus Christ, like you fucking revive. Like, dude, the second wind is insane. When I got my second wind, I felt like I think it was like 6 to 8 hours where I just like was wide awake. You know what I mean? It felt like I woke up again. You know what I mean? Like I just, no big deal. So that was like really the biggest like help is the second wind and not falling asleep between that. and then the second win eventually fell off, and then I just started dozing off towards the end, and the last 6 hours was pretty miserable. I just think that like there was not much I could do in terms of staying up. I was just like trying my best of like the adrenaline rush of like the end games just being really good, and just constantly like, oh my god, like, oh my fucking god, like third place, like we could have won that. That could have been like like an extra 100 points, you know. But yeah, I think like that time was very, very difficult for sure. And honestly, people ask if I want to do it again, and I don't even know.
There was one moment, and I was actually watching when this happened. It was you were like, all right, guys, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I got another 2 hours in me. Like, and you were just candid. You were just like, I don't think I can keep doing this. I'm trying my best, but I'll give it another 2 hours. And I think that was like, I can't even imagine the mental, like the thoughts you were having at that moment, just being like, dude, I can't do this, especially with the way the games were going. At that point, was it like you were trying to find people to kind of help you out with the games, or was it just because like the stream sniping was getting so bad that you were just like, I don't know if I can keep doing this?
It was definitely just because the stream sniping was really bad. I mean, well, it was a mixture of just like my body was rejecting every type of like food. I couldn't eat. I couldn't even drink water towards towards past 40 hour 40. So it was really, really hard, you know, just like on my body wise. I was just like constantly gagging. I felt like I needed to throw up. I also like, you know, it's like, okay, like I can push through the physical like abuse, you know, like I feel like we're strong as humans. I think we can get past those type of like hurdles, but just constant, just being poked at in the head of just like this stream sniper landing on me. This guy, I swear, I remember this one guy. We landed countdown, and he chased me all the way through like trials to Skyhook, and then wrapped around all the way to Lava Fissure, and he chased me the entire time, and he eventually killed me. And it was just like, dude, you have something wrong with you. You know what I mean? Like eventually you should just give up. You know what I mean? But yeah, that right there was just like, it was crazy because, you know, like obviously like as a streamer, I knew that I have stream snipers. It's not that big of a deal sometimes, like if they want to land on me, but it's the people who are purposely trying to grief it and like ruin the experience was just like such a headache that I'm just like, dude, guys, now in Masters, and the lobbies are even harder. I lose more RP. It just like felt like it was impossible to just get past this. Like literally, anytime I gained any RP, I just instant lost it the next game. It was just like I think the points I just needed to win three in a row from Masters, because the Master had a cap of 10k. I think it was like 10k 700 RP. So it's roughly like 3 to 4 games. And to win 3 to 4 games or get, you know, positive RP like that with the stream snipers was like, it felt like it was going to last another 10 more hours. So I was just like, dude, guys, I don't know if I could do this. Like, I just can't. And thank goodness, Jesus Christ himself, Jen Burton came out of fucking the sky.
Yes. All-time moment was when you guys finally get it. You win that game. I think you go down and he ends up finishing it off with just like a crazy clip. He had, I don't know what kind of microphone he had, but it must have been from like the 1980s. He's screaming into this thing, and it's just peaking sure it was over and over. Mic. Yeah, the webcam.
Honestly,
best moment of all time. Yeah,
I would not want it any other way. That was just everything about just the stream was really good, and not only just him. I mean, like it was a shout out to like a lot of people. I mean, like I definitely couldn't have done it without the like literally the Apex community for sure. Like, everyone knew the stream sniping was bad, so like people stream sniped to get on my team. Like Nathan got on my team. Jen got on my team. There was like other people as well. They like multiple people just try to help, and you know it's funny that the people who actually kept doing it consistently, I think got banned, like, you know, temporary banned for sure for stream sniping as well, which, you know, my bad, but also like it was just it was a community thing. Like I felt like I did something, but like not only that, like we all worked together to verse like these fucking stream snipers as well. Yeah, it was also good because like people were like, "Yo, Timmy's in your game." Like I remember someone told me they went to Datush someone went to Daltusha's stream and was like, "Yo, Timmy's in your game. Try not to kill him." Same thing with like Rogue and like Hal and like a bunch of people. And I don't know if they actually really did like try to avoid me, but I think some of them genuinely just like, "Oh, that's Timmy's squad. Let's leave him alone. Let him get to end game at least." And then if they want to kill me end game, I have to work for it. But they're not gonna like try to then just fight every team like they usually would. They would just like, "Oh, let's not give him a minus 60, minus 40, 48. Let's let him at least get +0 and then fuck with them later." So it was really really cool to see that from everybody.
Okay.
You got one, Finn. All right.
Well, yeah, I was gonna hit the double tap. So we have a segment on this where I will say 5 separate like sentences or statements, and then you reply with one word to describe that statement. You ready?
Okay, cool. Yeah.
All right. Number 1, Valorant or Apex Legends?
Apex.
Nice. Number 2, Stormpoint.
Mid.
Number 3, Sentinel.
Sentinels, like the orb?
No. The sniper Sentinel.
Oh, Sentinel. Terrible.
Okay. Number 4, best attribute about Timmy as a teammate.
Honest.
And number 5, ALGS LCQ.
LAN.
That's right.
He's getting there. That's right. That's damn right. We also we always have Enoch. This has been awesome, by the way. We always have Enoch ask the final question here. I have one thing I want to talk about a little bit here because it was one of the funniest like collaborations of all time. Post Malone and iiTzTimmy. I would have never guessed in any world that would be a collaboration. You got a guy with like multiple face tats, and then we got Timmy. How was that?
That was insane. I could even pull it up right now, and it was crazy. I mean, I actually couldn't believe it because he messaged me on Instagram, and as you know, Instagram probably has one of the worst message requests in the world. Because you have to go to your requests, and then there's the all requests, top requests, but the top requests don't even work. It's like weird. But I didn't see his DM. He actually DM'd me. He DM'd me, and I can tell you what he said. I'm pretty sure he doesn't mind. He said, "Add me on Dick Sword. Let's play a game, nerd." Question mark. Because we're gamers, we're nerds. Nice. So I was like, I read this and I was like, "Is this Post Malone?" Right? Because I'm looking at it because his name was 12 Carat Toothache at the time. It didn't say Post Malone, so I was like, clicked. I'm like, who is this guy? You know what I mean? Because obviously I didn't really know that line, so I clicked at it. It's like, wait, this is Post Malone. You know what I mean? I was like, what the heck? So he DM'd me on like January 22nd, and I didn't see that until February 13th. I was like, "Oh, yo, what's up, bro?" You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm down. Like add me, et cetera. And then he just said, send me my phone number. So then eventually we started texting, trying to find a day to play. And, honestly, like I played with him, I think about 3 to 4 times now. I met him in person. He is just the nicest guy ever. You wouldn't like think of it, of somebody who has like a lot of tattoos and face tats. He is just so nice. I mean, I don't think he has a single mean bone in his body. I think just in general, like he is really caring for the people around him. He takes care of everybody. And I mean, he's done a lot for me personally, and I haven't really got to talk to him much recently. And, because obviously he's busy with his life and his tour, but I mean, I just only wish the best for him. And I mean, he's doing great things. So
just casually texting Post Malone.
Yeah, just casually. No big deal. It's just post.
Yeah, we were just texting back
just
and
Post
forth.
Malone.
Yeah, it's just post.
Send messages back and forth. No biggie. No, that's
insane.
that's super awesome. I also feel like we would be doing a complete disservice to the people out there if we didn't just bring up Pathfinder and how. Are you the greatest Pathfinder player of all time? You
I
think
don't
so?
think so.
No.
I don't think so. I think that a lot of people kind of view the or I would like to say like during my prime, I think at one point I could consider myself, a top Pathfinder player for sure, but I think nowadays probably not. And I think it's just like, you know how everyone is like, oh, this guy is the best, Pathfinder, Wraith, movement player, comp player, right? Like it's all kind of just depending on how well you market yourself, online. And I mean, there's just so many great players out there to really just be like, this person's the best player in that category is really hard. But I definitely think like you can categorize like these people as top like 5 for sure, because really it's like what makes you the number one. I mean, like really, I mean, there like everyone has like different ways. Like you can say like, oh, his grapples are better. Oh, like the way he like utilizes his zip line is better. Or there's so many things that you could say, and nothing really kind of like will ever like be true. Because like, I mean, like to be fair, I don't think anyone is ever going to be the best at all those categories. It's really hard, obviously, but yeah, I just think that there's so many great players out there, and people just should kind of give everyone the credit. I hate when people say like, oh, like this person's a budget this person, like let's say like a budget iiTzTimmy, or like, oh, you're not iiTzTimmy, bro, like get off Pathfinder. Like no, like he's just as good. He's maybe even better than me at certain things that I can't do with Pathfinder, and you should give him credit like where credit is due. And I think a lot of times people forget to do that. So
There we go. There we go. Beautiful. You want to hit him with it?
Yeah. But before I hit the question, I just want to say that I'm super excited to see your team compete. Obviously, given my circumstance with Dezign and how that all went down, like that was just an incredibly hard decision. But I've even said this with him that I could not be happier to see him playing with you and then enemy. And I think that you guys as a squad are going to be incredibly dangerous. And just, I wanted to say from my POV that I like, as I told him, like could not be happier to see this team come together. I'm genuinely excited to see what you guys are going to be doing in the games that we have ahead of us. But that aside, I'm like very excited to ask this question because it's my favorite question, because everybody we get asked is performing in the top 1% of whatever field they're in, and you're like top 0.00001 out here. And so it's awesome to have you on here, and it's been awesome to have this interview. And so you've gotten to this just immense level of success, and there's definitely have to be certain things that have allowed you to get to this point. And so what would be your best piece of advice to somebody who's trying to get to the top 1% in an area of their life? Doesn't have to be streaming, doesn't have to be Apex, just anything that they're passionate about that they want to be in the top 1% of.
Of course. I mean, it's a great question, and I think a lot of people always want to really know what are the tips on like becoming a big streamer? Like how can I just become a big streamer? And like really it's just you want it. Like you really need to want what you do. I mean, like it's just that the whole I forget what the quote is, but it's like you gotta love your job or you gotta love what you do, because it's impossible to deal with the negatives if you can't enjoy, like you can't just like enjoy the positives. We all know this feeling. We're all Apex gamers here. Apex off launch, that was just insane. You know what I mean? Like just constantly loving the game. You could just play for 16-20 hours and you were like, wait, dude, I didn't even realize that just happened. You know what I mean? Like just loving every single moment of the journey is really the part of the job. You can't get here if you can't enjoy being at 10 viewers, 20 viewers, right? Obviously you want to get more. Who doesn't want to get more? I mean, like, I think it's just it's very clear with like just life in general with like money, for example. It's just like everyone wants more money, you know what I mean? But like you have to enjoy that journey to go like to grow and build your community and really experience every single stages of it. And I mean, you just got to be yourself, really. I know the people who I put down the act of like family friendly, or like, you know, some people are, you know, that's fine if you want to be like that for the rest of your life and your streaming career, that's fine. But like there are some people who just like fake it to their make it, and you can't fake it to your make it in this job. It will eventually leak through, and you will show your true side, and that is going to eventually like make people not like you. And it actually is more worse for you. You just be who you are. I mean, like, why would you want to fake being someone else anyways? Like it's you. And I think just the best thing people can do is just really put themselves out there at 24/7. I mean, it's constantly taxing to just be online 24/7. You don't have a social life sometimes. You your health declines, whether it's, you know, you're not eating enough because when you're grinding, you don't really focus on how much you're eating sometimes. And because you're not moving around, you also don't burn off those calories, and eventually you eat less. And there's just so many things like that just eventually build up. And if you don't enjoy what you do, like I said, those things will just eventually tax you to the point where you quit and you burn out. And for me, I don't think I've ever had a burnout of streaming in my entire career. I've had a burnout of games for sure, but I think that's just more not my fault. It's more just the games being bad. You know, I think if the game was being perfect in every possible way, I would be playing it, because that's all I do. It's all I play is video games. So I think that's kind of the only tip I could really give, is just constantly be online, put yourself out there, use social media, and yeah, that's really it. And I think the biggest cheat code right now, that even I'm trying to still figure it out and do, is, you know, YouTube Shorts and TikToks. Those are just the cheat to get a start. You know, I mean, it's hard to get those initial viewers, and it just takes time for sure. And I think like those 60 seconds that keep popping up on your people's daily feeds every single day will eventually lead to them being a fan, and then eventually coming to your stream, or just being a follower in general. So those are like kind of the two best things right now, in my opinion, on how to grow as either an influencer or a streamer. So
beautiful stuff. Well, Timmy, this has been awesome. Thank you once again for hopping on. This has been such a good time. And like we didn't get you didn't break the record of the longest interview, but you're pretty damn close. You're pretty damn close.
Wait, yeah, really? How long was the longest one?
It was actually 57 hours. So, you know, we could try to run it back and see, maybe we could try it. Gotcha. You know, I don't know if you're down to do that again, but
I mean, honestly, it's just talking at the end of the day, so I don't know.
That's right. No, it was actually, I think it was like 1 hour and 30. What was it? 1 hour 32 minutes. We were at like 117 or something.
Yeah.
We were pretty close. We were pretty close. We'll just have to get it on.
Was it Hal? Was it Hal?
No, it was Peeps.
Was it Peeps?
Yeah, it was We the People.
It was Hal, and then it was Peeps. And now it is Peeps.
Yeah. No, but
But you're up there now, though. Congrats.
You're definitely up there. You're on the Mount Rushmore. Let's
go. Let's go.
Anything you want to say before we sign off?
I think the main thing for sure is, you know, shout out, like, you know, take care of your friends for sure. I mean, like, I think your friends are what builds you as a person, and really kind of lets you become free. I mean, I think for a long time in my life, I've kind of sheltered myself inside and kind of just like, you know, put myself in a small bubble with just my girlfriend. And, you know, now that I was able to meet like these bunch of friends and really kind of talk to them, I was like, dude, I can just be fun again. Like, I don't have to be so serious. Like, I don't have to take my life. Like, my life doesn't only revolve around streaming. So really just like kind of, you know, experiencing life again with your friends is definitely one thing. And I'm excited for LCQ. I think we're gonna do really well. Hopefully, we get first and we get to LAN, because that'll be insane to compete at LAN. I do want to shout out my coach, Coach Bronzy, for being there on the easiest day of Challenger Circuit and then not showing up on the other 2 days and letting us coach ourselves for the rest. So shout out to him for sure. But no, actually, I mean, Bronzy actually has helped me a lot as a player. I mean, I used to team with him in the past, and we were both just like, new to competitive, never had any experience, and we were learning it together, just having some good time. But eventually he has gotten through his competitive side a lot, and really on through his coaching side. And he's actually a really good coach, and he's done a lot for me to become like the IGL like I am like now, and obviously like learning the strategies and stuff like that. So definitely a big shout out to him, and obviously just shout out to my family and my brothers and sister for always being there, and of course my girlfriend, because honestly, I don't think I could ever have made it this far without her. I think she has done an insane amount of work for my mental. I mean, I have a pretty strong mental, but just knowing that she is there for me 24/7 and constantly just taking care of me, I mean, it's just life changing. So that's pretty much it.
That's awesome, man. That is so cool. One last thing, you mentioned the family. I wanted to ask this real quick. You were saying sometimes your dad will like watch the streams and text you. Does he ever just give you like criticism, like you shouldn't have swung that? Like, like he ever send you like text messages like that?
That would be funny. That would actually be really funny. My dad, he's like typically, I would say like the boomer dad. He doesn't say too much, but he gets it. He understands everything. He watches the stream. He understands everything that happens. He just like, I swear one time I died, and it was in like a very joking way, and he texted me noob. I was like, bro, like that was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? But overall, like my dad, he's amazing. I mean, he doesn't really ever like say that type of stuff, but he just says like, good job. Like, like you guys played well. That was a great last game. Nice clutch. He always says like stuff like that. So
yeah,
he's really amazing.
He's probably just reading this stuff in the chat and being like, okay, I think I got it. Yeah.
He's like, I got the lingo down.
Yeah, that'd be so funny if he just text you like, could have body swapped. Like it was open right there.
Yeah, man. Like I'm not sure if you should have played for Rez there.
Yeah. That'd be so great.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
That'd be awesome. All right. Well, once again, man, thanks for hopping on, and hopefully next time, let's see. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that you guys are hoisting a trophy. I'm just gonna say it. Let's just hope. Let's hope.
I mean, go for that. From the Golden Griefers to now lifting up the trophy, I mean, like we could be making something happen here.
And that would be another milestone, another infinity stone you could add to the glove there. But all right, man. Well, thanks for hopping on. It's been awesome, and hopefully we'll have you back on soon and talk about all the new updates coming your way. So thanks, man. Thanks for hopping on.
Thank you, guys.
All right, ladies and gents, that was iiTzTimmy. It was awesome having him on the show. We appreciate having him on. It was a great time with Timmy. Hopefully we have him back on soon. Great time chatting with him. Boys, I think we got one question that we should ask on the other side of this one. And this one's arguably the most important question we've asked in this episode. And it's very simple. It goes like this. This one comes from Purple Doobie. And they say, my question is simple. Which pro has the best Riz? As in, which pro could get a girl's number the quickest and or the smoothest? Who do you guys think? What's your pick?
I'm gonna go with that boy Yuki from Alliance. That dude is straight up a former male model, and just cool, calm, and collected in the heat of the moment, as we saw in his 1v1 versus Hal. And if he can approach that moment as calm and cool and collected as he did, I can only imagine if the stakes are so much lower and he's just going up and talking to a woman, that man's got it all day. And so I'm going to go with Yuki as my pick.
I like it. The male model aspect definitely plays a part. Finn.
Dude, I think that... Yeah, I think he's definitely a 1-1 pick. Like you're not picking him because he's literally a male model. Like, come on, like he was already a model. If I was to give one, this may be a shocker, maybe a sleeper pick, but I'm gonna go with Waltzy. The boy is jacked.
Oh,
right?
I know
like,
Waltzy's got Riz. I know it,
dude. He's got to be. Some would call him the Rizzler, but I like
the
dude
Rizzly Bear,
is the Rizzly Bear. Yeah.
Ooh, that's
he's
the one.
jacked.
That's
he's
the
jacked. And to be honest, Rizzly Bear probably is probably a lot better because he is massive and works out all the time.
He's a large man of stature.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, we need to get him back on.
Yeah, we do. 100%. So I'm gonna go with Waltzy though for the best Riz, who I think has the best Riz.
Okay, I just went through. I'm gonna not
Can't
do
be
the
naughty,
pros
by the way.
Can't be.
Can't be naughty.
No, it's not going to be naughty. Okay, listen. I'm only going through the people that we have interviewed on this show. So not all of them are pros, obviously. Not all of them. But I was looking through our roster of great interviews, and all of them have been fantastic. And I was thinking, going through all of these, and 3 came to mind. The first one, Weeps, We the People. I don't know. When he came on, he had that little like swagger to him. It seemed like I feel like Boston guys, they got that comedy. And if you can make a girl laugh, you can Riz. I think Weeps can Riz. The second one, Rambo. I feel like Rambo's got Riz to him. It's all in the hair too. It's like Samson, that story from the Bible. He was full of strength when he had his hair long, and then they cut it, and then it wasn't long. I still think even without the long hair, he could probably still Riz up. And then the last one was, hold on, I lost it.
I think Rambo's a solid pick right there.
There was,
come on, you know who it is.
Yeah, it's Daltouche. Yeah,
that's right.
Daltouche would be my last one. So out of the 3, if I had to rank, I'd probably go Dalton, Rambo, Weeps. But I think all 3 of them have Riz. You could call him a Rizzly Bear. I haven't met him in person though. I just feel that way. I feel like they have it. They just got that it factor.
I mean, through the internet, you can tell. There's Riz factors that are in the air. So
you can tell with Dalton too, because you can just see from like his Instagram stories. There's a lot of times he's like dancing, and I'm like, he's got some moves. I feel like if he were to go out there on the dance floor, he could probably sway some attention just from the moves.
I agree. There's not. I don't have those moves, is what I'm trying to say. But one day, maybe.
That's all it takes. Okay, thanks for the question, Purple Doobie. We appreciate the question. Just wanted to get that one out there. It was extremely important. We wanted to make sure we answered it because it was life or death if we didn't. So thank you, Purple Doobie. Ladies and gents, we're going to throw it on down to the heart-to-heart. Let's get it. All right, ladies and gents, it is heart-to-heart time. Heart-to-heart time. And I am not going first. One of you guys are going first. Who is it going to be?
I'll go first and get it out of the way. I don't know. I don't really have one right at the current moment. I don't think I have anything on the heart-to-heart other than my sister. I guess, I don't know. My sister is back from Africa. She lives on an island. She's going to be here for about half a year, so I'm pretty excited to have her. So in that regard, I'm pretty stoked. And yeah, I mean, that's just my heart to heart. I'm glad that I have family close to where I can just hang out with them. So I think in that regard, I feel pretty blessed. So short and sweet, I guess, is my heart to heart. Is I'm just happy to have my sister back.
There we go. Shout out, sis. Was this the one you were talking about a long time ago, where she was listening to the podcast like early on?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, she still does. She still listens to our podcast every time. It's so funny because I called her whenever she was still living on the island off of Africa, and she goes, I don't know anything about Apex, but I feel like I know all the drama of everything that's going on. And I just thought that was funny because she doesn't care for video games at all, but she does care for the podcast and cares for the drama that's involved with the podcast, which is funny.
There is a lot of tea. Yeah, we've had a lot of tea on this show. We've had to spill that tea. So, yeah, that's awesome. I'm happy for you. I'm happy she's back home safely. Enoch, your heart to heart.
I don't really have anything different. I'm kind of just on my same wave, on my same like grind of just being mentally um strict with myself in the way that I allow myself to think, and I'm feel like I'm doing pretty good. Like there are definitely, dude, I cannot wait for international scrims to be over, bro. I'm so excited. I feel like I'm absolutely just setting myself up by like consistently showing up and like being joyful and really just being thankful for what I have. Because like it really is all about perspective. And it's definitely like this is something that I had to learn because it's just it's very hard to appreciate like a little bit over 200 viewers at the same level you appreciated it when you were on your way building up to it, to once that like at one point you were like consistently at 800. And so like with content you have these ebb and flows, and obviously things change, people take some time off, like things happen, and I'm just focused on just trying to be appreciative as I can, because I know at some point I would be absolutely losing my mind ecstatic to have over 200 people watching my stream. And I should still feel that way because it's still super dope. And just because it's like not as crazy as it used to be, like I'm fully aware that I'm going to get back to that point and I'm going to go full beyond it. And so if I know that that's as certain as I know it is, then I just need to enjoy this step along the way as much as I can and not trip out about it. And so I've been having a lot of practice not tripping out about it and just being focused on doing what I'm doing for the sake of doing it to the best of my ability and enjoying it as much as I can, instead of focusing on what the external results are as a result from it. And so I guess that is a little bit more than usual. It just kind of started and then we just rambled our way there. But yeah, man, I'm thankful and I'm happy. And I know that I got a lot of great things coming my way.
There we go.
What about you?
Beautiful stuff. I had the most disgusting sneeze that happened while you were saying that, and I hope the camera didn't catch that. Connor, if the camera caught that, please don't put that in. Just make my camera go away. Stuff was coming out of me, bro. I apologize. Okay, my heart to heart this week. So like I said at the beginning, I got a job interview tomorrow, and I'm probably I would say I'm like 90% that I'm gonna get it. And anybody who's been listening to the show for a long time, and they've kind of known my struggles with what I was doing, and so I'm kind of excited to try something. It's been a while since I feel like I've been challenged, and I think I've seen that in just my daily life. I remember when I first started this journey in like podcasting, I was so motivated to make videos, try these new things, do all this stuff. And then I got this job that I'm working right now, and all of my desires, all of my like strength, other than just editing, kind of went away. And I feel like it was because I had gotten so comfortable that I kind of just stopped. And every single day I come home, I'm like, I want to make something, I want to do something, but I just don't have the passion to do it. I'm outside, it's hot. I'm tired, when I get home, and this job, hopefully, I hope it challenges me more mentally than physically, because that's what I had before. And so, I'm excited to get back into this. And I also just have a very, very cool mentor who's helped me out along the way. She was the one who DM'd me and offered me, like, been like, hey, there's this job and I really think you're good enough to do it. After 2 years of me not being in school, for her to reach out and still try to get me a job is crazy. And it means that I had made enough of an impact on someone for them to be like, let me reach out. Not only did she do that, because I mentioned this like 2 weeks ago in my heart to heart, not only did she do that, but when I wasn't sure if I was really going to do it, she got on the phone with me, kind of described to me how exactly it was going to work. And then she had me go over to her place and grab a book that she had written about this specific position. And she just gave it to me with all of her notes. It's like she's also a professor. So she, like all of her notes are in it so I can just learn and learn and learn. And somebody who's willing to do that, dude, it feels like surreal sometimes. It's just next level. It's so cool. And it'll be more in the field that I went to school for, which was broadcasting. So I'm very excited for that. And to be able to bring the skills I learned from there and bring it here will be cool. There might be I'm thinking way in the future here. There's going to be some episodes where it might be a little tighter. I might not be there like all the time because the schedule is a little different than I currently have, but I will be, no matter what, I'm going to be a part of the Apex. It just might be weird. We'll have to figure that out. But I'm just very excited, man. I'm very excited. It's going to be super, super cool. And I had kind of reached my wit's end with the job I was currently at. And so many of you had reached out and DM'd me and told me it was going to get better, but it's just so hard to listen to, when you're going through it. It's not easy to just be like, yeah, okay, it's just going to get better, but it has. And even if I don't get it, what this whole experience has taught me is that there's a whole world out there that I just have not been accessing because I've just been moping in my own bullshit and just unwilling to open my mind to the fact that it can get better. I just wasn't allowing it to. And so I'm excited. I'm super excited, and I have some other announcements on the way that I'll be sharing in the coming weeks that feed more into the excitement. It's all scary though. It's all extremely scary because it's uncharted waters. And like I said, I've been so comfortable for so long that it's gonna be a challenge, but I'm excited for it. So that's my heart to heart this week. Shout out to my mentor. She's been awesome. She's been super, super cool. I don't know if I told this a long time ago, but she's basically, when I was like young, she worked in the news. And I remember waking up when I was like 5 or 6 years old, and she was doing like the 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock broadcast on the news. And then I grew up, and all of a sudden she's my professor. And then now not only is she my professor, but now she is actively trying to get me, to help her with her work. And it's like crazy how that went full circle, because I remember just sitting there with like my lunch pail getting ready to leave the house, and now it's like she's trying to help me out. Like she's actually, like, she just wants me to succeed. So whatever happens, I'm still going to be happy nonetheless. And there's a lot of things that go into it, but super excited. Can't wait to see what happens, and I'll keep you guys updated in the meantime. But that is my heart to heart this week. And yeah,
proud of you, Wyatt.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be a good
I
time.
I know you said that it's scary, but I think in some regards, like, that's okay to be scared.
Yeah. I think I need to be scared. I don't think I work as hard if I'm not scared. I don't like it sounds sad to say, but it's like you always think to yourself, well, if I could just get comfortable, then I'll be able to do more. I don't think I work that way. I think I work better when the conditions are like harsh. Like, I feel like it's like
insane.
Yeah, I don't know why.
It's adversity. Like, you kind of like the challenge. Like, you like the challenge of of being able to try and like problem solve, sort of, or at least that's what it sounds like, right? Because
yeah, I think it's,
but you haven't. But that's like your passion. But you kind of, with this job, have not been able to reach that because you kind of fallen out of that passion of trying to problem solve in a way.
Yeah, and when I first started this job, because I started off as just like kind of like a driver, I had so much time to think and come up with ideas, and then they moved me, and it just made it way more difficult to think and come up with ideas because now I was dealing with so much other stuff. And not to say that this job won't be doing the same thing, but it's more in my field, so I'm going to be learning a lot more about how broadcasts work and all this different type of stuff that I can apply to this, like my actual passion. And and the show. So yeah, it'll be great, man. I'm excited. I'm very excited. And ladies and gents, this should just about round out the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, we have the link down below. You can follow us along on all of our social media accounts, our TikTok, our Twitter, our Instagram, and most importantly, our Discord. You can ask questions down in there. Say what's up. Say what's good. Shout out to our man, iiTzTimmy. Thanks. We just want to thank him for his time, for hopping on. It was a great time with him, and we'll be seeing him more in the future. Ladies and gents, we'll catch you guys next week for another episode of the Apex the Pod. See.